Hey, yo, and what is up, gang? Thank you for checking out Sledgehammer TV tonight. You would think that WWE, knowing they were advertising a big deal match like Roman Reigns versus Finn Balor for the Universal Championship for this week, that they would really have done a good job to put together a great card to accompany such a quality main event. But SmackDown was a whole lot of the same old stuff, with the exception of that great main event, and they actually did more to get us excited for next week's episode, Super SmackDown from Madison Square Garden, than they did to keep us excited during this current episode that we watched tonight. And we are going to talk about all of it and so much more right here and right now. My name is Nick Nightmare. You are watching the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show's SmackDown review and reaction show. Let's do it.
Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
This episode of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show is brought to you by BarkBox. Check it out if you want at the link on the screen right now, www.barkbox.com/sledgehammertv, to claim your exclusive deal, courtesy of your friends here at Sledgehammer TV. It is a monthly subscription service where you can get some really awesome stuff for your furry little wrestling fan at home. Some really high quality, durable toys for your mutt to tear into and have a really hard time tearing apart. And some healthy, delicious, all natural treats that's good for them as well as delicious. So check it out right now. You can get 1 month, 6 months, 12 months, anything you desire. For more information, barkbox.com/sledgehammertv. Go there yourself or click the link in the description below. It has been a very tough week of professional wrestling, a tough couple of weeks of wrestling. We've been going up and down and up and down with the emotions from the return of CM Punk and all of the highs that come with that, to the tragic news of the passing of Daffney just the other day, who sadly took her own life at the age of 46 years old. Please, everybody out there, this is serious. If you know somebody who is struggling mentally or struggling in any way, the best thing you could do is reach out. What is the worst thing that could come of lending an ear to somebody who just might need to vent? Daffney was one of my most favorite superstars of all time, one of my original pro wrestling crushes. She broke the mold of what it was supposed to be for the women's division in pro wrestling, and though she never had any predominant time in the WWE, her impact in the world of pro wrestling, no pun intended, is everlasting and will never be forgotten and will be forever missed. And we will talk more about Daffney, and we'll have a little special tribute to her in tomorrow's debut of Sledgehammer Saturday night live here on Sledgehammer TV. I hope you guys can come out and join in on the fun. We're going to talk about that, and we're also going to talk about how we can save Monday Night Raw in just one fell swoop. One really cool maneuver that I have come up with that could change the pace of things and change the face of the WWE altogether. Check it out tomorrow night. But tonight we are here to talk about this week's episode of SmackDown. And while we had some decent in-ring action, which is always the case with an episode of SmackDown, most of this show was just a rinse and repeat kind of show. They did do some things that were sort of interesting, mostly the Universal Championship main event, which was fantastic, although I didn't appreciate how they started things off by giving Roman Reigns the decided advantage by having the Usos beat the snot out of Finn Balor just before the Universal Championship main event matchup, and it doesn't really look good for a guy like Roman Reigns. I know he's the heel and he's doing the heel thing with his faction and he's got his bloodline doing what they're supposed to do. It all makes sense for this to be going down. But if he needs the Usos to beat down Finn Balor before the match and then still have Finn Balor take him nearly to the limit and almost beat him tonight on SmackDown on multiple occasions in this match, how the hell is he going to be able to get through somebody like Brock Lesnar? Brock Lesnar was also on SmackDown tonight, technically. He wasn't physically there, but one of my favorite segments of the night featured Paul Heyman as the show opened up tonight with a tag team matchup. The Usos versus the Street Profits, because you know the Street Profits, they had to stick their nose in where it didn't belong, helping out last week, and they got in the Usos' way, got into their business, so to speak. So the best thing that the WWE can come up with, of course, is the all-new for 2021 Championship Contenders match, which is a bullshit thing that I absolutely hate, because the whole purpose of a championship match is to build towards that match. You don't give away the match before you get to the match. Normally you have multiple teams or multiple superstars in a division, so you don't have to do things like this to justify giving the Street Profits another championship because they're the only other team in the division. But I guess give them points for trying to make it make sense? No. Take the points away, bring the hammer down, and bring a big old poop hammer down on them as well for this championship contenders match bullshit that I cannot stand that they do. There's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way to get number one contenders. Remember how they used to do it? You know, the logical way where they had, you know, multiple people around and they would face each other, and the guy that was, you know, pushed to look like he was the best, or the team that won the most in the division, you know, they had their shot at the champ. Like, that's how it's supposed to go, boys and girls. But instead we get championship contenders matches, and then they don't even have the decency to give us a clean finish. This match was bullshit pretty much from start to finish, because the Street Profits defeated the champions, the Usos, via DQ tonight, and it was a very confusing DQ. The action during this match was fast and furious, and Montez Ford continues to shine. He's fantastic. He took off the top rope to do a body splash during this match. We've all seen him do the 5-star. And he gets some sick elevation, but he got so high up into the air, and he was able to twist his body mid-air, full 180 degrees, while he was up in mid-frog splash. I don't know how he did it. The man is simply amazing. The move was incredible. That type of a move should have finished this match. Not that I want the Usos to be losing in non-title matches, but you save moments like that for when you know you're going to win, because you just pulled off this big thing, and then you didn't win the match. The Usos were able to break up that pinfall, and the match continued despite how beautiful that was, and despite how perfect that would have been for a finish. But instead, see, this is the conundrum with the championship contenders match, because you don't want the champion to lose, right? You don't want to have your champions pinned to the mat by the people that are trying to earn a shot at their championship. It's a stupid thing to do, and the WWE knows this, even though they're doing it. So they have the Usos lose via disqualification. But how does that justify the Street Profits getting a championship opportunity? Are they still getting the opportunity? They were celebrating after the match as if they were going to get a title shot now. Roman Reigns wasn't too happy about it. He wanted to see his cousins immediately, which brings me back to Paul Heyman, who after this he walked out to get the Usos. Kayla Braxton jumped him from out of nowhere, literally just popped up like a little leprechaun out of a 4-leaf clover. Hey, I'm Kayla Braxton. I'm here to talk to you, Paul. Scared the shit out of Paul Heyman. I thought he was going to crap himself. He had this cool little red phone in his pocket, and it was going off, and he was getting a phone call. And the funniest thing about it was the ring was Brock Lesnar's theme song. So who could this possibly be? I bet it's Tommy Dreamer. right? It was Tommy Dreamer. He was no. Obviously, they wanted us to know it was Brock Lesnar. So it was Lesnar's song as his ringtone. Thought it was a cool little uh, Easter egg type of thing in there. And Paul Heyman wasn't happy with this phone call. And apparently, Brock Lesnar wants Paul Heyman to make it known that he's going to be on SmackDown next week when the WWE makes its post-pandemic return to New York City in Madison Square Garden. And for the first time since I bought the ticket to go to SmackDown, I am really glad that I did. You know, when I bought that ticket to SmackDown at Madison Square Garden, I did it at great risk because we have no idea. We had no idea at the time what WWE was going to look like, if they were going to have the draft going on. Being that it's Super SmackDown, I'm sure they're still going to find a way to get Monday Night Raw involved in this thing by hook or by crook before we get into next Friday. But as it stands right now, and especially after SmackDown was finished tonight, I'm really actually excited for next week. Mostly because I'm going to be there and to be in Madison Square Garden when Brock Lesnar returns for the first time in God knows how many years. The roof is going to blow off of the mecca of professional wrestling. It's going to be fantastic. So I was really excited to hear that. I was really happy to hear that. And it was some good news. Good news and good times and good feelings while watching an episode of SmackDown. Which sometimes we get those things, but more often than not, we get silly, stupid things like having the only thing for Big E to do tonight is pretend to be a janitor and scare the shit out of Paul Heyman and laugh in his face holding the Money in the Bank briefcase. I like the tease of it. I like that he's like lingering in the shadows because Paulie and Roman are not paying any attention to Big E, not taking him as a threat whatsoever. But it would be pretty cool, I think, if Roman loses the championship because Brock beat him up so bad that Big E capitalizes with the Money in the Bank briefcase and becomes the new Universal Champion. Maybe the only way you can get the belt off that guy. And then you could have him win it back from Big E by the time The Rock wants to come around next year, and you can have your big Roman versus Rock clash. Nothing will be sacrificed, and it'll all be there, and it'll be fine. You know what's not fine? Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch is not fine because WWE is positioning her to be a heel in her program with Bianca Belair. And the fan resistance is still there. The fans want to cheer for Becky Lynch. They want to be happy that the mom is back. They want to relish in her new championship reign. But they can't because they are invested in Bianca. But if you ask the average fan, especially one of the fans that were there tonight, do you prefer Becky or Bianca? I'm pretty sure that crowd would have been at least 70% for Becky Lynch. And that's not the right sort of proportions you want when you're pushing for a heel turn. And Becky's promo tonight was borderline. She kind of played to the crowd. She gave credit to Bianca. And then Bianca then came out once again, and we had the little face-to-face. Bianca not nearly as good on the microphone as Becky was tonight, but she made her point, and she wanted Becky to do the right thing and challenge her here tonight. Give her rematch for the championship tonight. That's what Roman's going to do. Roman's defending his title tonight. Why don't you be the man like Roman and be a stand-up champion? And let's have this rematch tonight. SummerSlam rematch on SmackDown. But then Becky does what a heel would do and says, no thanks, I'm going to do this on my time, not on your time. And she walks off. For the first time all night, the crowd boos Becky Lynch, more because she walked off from the match, not because they are hating her. And the EST chants seemed to be the same ones we were hearing back in the Thunderdome. I don't know how true that is, but that's what my ears thought they heard. It seemed very generic, probably just to boost the narrative, as the WWE production team likes to do. There was a Toni Storm sighting tonight. Stormwatch 2021. Oh my God, they forgot all about her since they debuted her about a month ago. And they remembered she was on the show tonight, and the best thing they had for her was a segment with Dolph Ziggler. And Dolph Ziggler, I guess, is introducing himself to Toni Storm, maybe kind of hitting on her just a little bit. He wants to know if she's going to watch his match tonight, and she's like, actually, yeah, but I'm rooting for Boogs. Rick Boogs is her guy in this match, and it makes perfect sense because, they were on the NXT roster around the same time, probably for a similar length of time. They were both recently called up to the main roster, so they probably know each other, so naturally she's going to want her friend to win. Nobody besides Dolph Ziggler and maybe Bobby Roode wanted Dolph Ziggler to win. Personally, I could care less, because they didn't give this match nearly as much respect as it deserves. I'm not a fan of Rick Boogs, especially with King Nakamura. But here is the problem. Here's one of the biggest things wrong I could show you. Here the WWE has an opportunity to take a star like Boogs, a guy who they obviously have high hopes in, and give him an opportunity to show the world and the fans and the universe just how good he is, just how valuable he is. And you put him in there with a guy like Dolph Ziggler, who, whether you love him or you hate him, the guy has a 100% solid hand in the ring, and he could make anybody look great. And you had the opportunity to make Rick Boogs look great. You could have gave them 10 minutes. You could have had Ziggler work this guy, make him look like a superstar, give him a big win over Dolph Ziggler. But instead you just got some squash, ladies and gentlemen, and some more summer squash. Rick Boogs squashes Dolph Ziggler, former World Heavyweight Champion, former Intercontinental Champion, multiple-time Tag Team Champion, Money in the Bank winner. In 2 minutes. Maybe even less. This wasn't even a match. This was ridiculous. And then to have him embarrass himself further by making sure that the pretty blonde in the back watches him go and embarrass himself out there makes him doubly stupid. The Dirty Dogs are worthless. Robert Roode has done nothing since he's been back, except still hang out with Dolph and catering and come out and have a tag match every once in a while. And Rick Boogs, there's potential there. He's got to pull back from the guitar thing. And I feel like the only reason Elias is dead on Monday Night Raw is because they want to give the guitar gimmick to Boogs, and you can't have two guitar players for whatever reason. God forbid they put the two guys together and make some kind of a rock band tag team or something, which could have been much more interesting than what either guy is doing right now. But I get it. It's fun. A lot of people are into it. I just don't appreciate them making Boogs such a heavy comedy act when they could be making him a future star. Because these are the moments when guys like a Rick Boogs or a Karrion Kross or these guys that are just coming up have quality matches with established guys that make you take them seriously from this point on. But instead, he just goes out there and squashes Dolph Ziggler, who nobody gives a shit about anyway. And he could have made himself look good in the process. The guy could wrestle a broomstick and probably make you entertained enough to watch. But instead, squash for Dolph Ziggler doesn't make Boogs look great. And round we continue to go. And this is why everything fails with the WWE. Sonya Deville and Adam Pearce approach Becky Lynch in the back. Sonya Deville announced that she's going to defend her title against Bianca Belair at Extreme Rules, and next week, live in Madison Square Garden, there will be a contract signing, which is something I have never been present for. So once again, I'm pretty excited. I know contract signings are bullshit. I know it's going to probably be lame, but I've never been in the audience for one, so there's something we could check off the bucket list. Fantastic, because it also guarantees that I'm going to both see Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair while I'm there. Pluses all around. But again, this is all getting me excited for next week. I'm not excited for this week because now I have to bring up and press the dreaded rematch alert, because we're getting Cesaro versus Seth Rollins again. Now they're seemingly using this as a precursor to continue the feud with Rollins and Edge. But as I'm watching all this go down, and the match, is going on for quite some time, and I'm seeing all the same spots we've seen them go through. Cesaro's swinging Seth, which we know is agitating him. Seth is doing all the things that Seth does, curb stomps and whatnot. He came out in his Baron Zemo-inspired jacket. This one was black and white this week, but whatever. It's Seth doing what Seth does. And Cesaro is a fantastic wrestler. And we've seen this over and over and over again. And Cesaro beats Seth via disqualification. Again, another disqualification on this night. Only to have Edge come out and save Cesaro from the dreaded Seth Rollins, who caught Cesaro in a crossface with a chair bar thing that they've been doing, which he stole from Edge. That's the one thing that I did appreciate watching this version of Cesaro versus Seth, is that he was intentionally pulling off some of Edge's more famous signature moves, and just to stick it to the old guy. But you kind of knew what was coming. Edge came out to make the save at the end of this matchup, and we are going to get Edge versus Rollins Part 2 at Madison Square Garden next week. So again, they have effectively made me much more excited, because yeah, we hate rematches, right? But Edge versus Rollins is a great match, and it's going to be in the Garden, and these guys are going to want to tear it down. They're going to want to be match of the night. It's going to be fantastic if, this is a big if WWE Creative lets them go at it. Edge got a huge reaction from the crowd, of course. It's going to be great to be live in the crowd, to hear that song again. Super pumped for next week. For this week, I have to go and watch as in the back Roman Reigns is very obviously laying out some sort of a plan with the Usos, and they got to stick with the game plan, which we already knew was to beat up Finn Balor at some point. He said he's not worried about Finn Balor. Heyman says we have a problem. We have a Brock Lesnar problem. Reigns is like, Lesnar is not my problem. That's your problem. I'm going to smash Lesnar at some point. And then they're just wondering if he's actually sitting at home in Saskatchewan, or if he's actually at the arena tonight laying a trap. So Brock is definitely already getting in the champ's head. Paul Lee caught in the middle like a jealous ex, and it's going to be pretty interesting. You know what's not interesting? Happy fucking Corbin. Happy Corbin, sad Corbin, ecstatic Corbin, dog food eating Corbin, Constable Corbin, bellhop Corbin, general manager Corbin, lone wolf Corbin. I don't give a shit what kind of a Corbin is. I don't care. The damage has been almost irreversibly done to this character. I don't want to see him on my screen. I didn't want to see him with fucking mustard stains and scruffy beards and balding hairdos. I don't want to see him walking around like a knockoff Cameron Grimes pretending to be Daddy Warbucks because he had one great fucking night in Vegas and they don't know what even to do with Happy Corbin, so they're just going to do what they did last time with Corbin, and that's put him opposite Kevin Owens. We have a random Kevin Owens show, and his guest tonight is Happy Slappy fucking Corbin. And then they do a whole left turn and bring in, for no apparent reason, Logan Paul. Logan Paul is here. He's a guest of Happy Corbin, and this pisses off Kevin Owens. And for some reason, I can't figure it out. I mean, it wasn't advertised, but, you know, Logan Paul came out because his brother just beat Tyrone Woodley. Do you give a shit about that? Because I don't. I didn't watch it. I don't care. This was just a waste of everybody's time. The best thing about this segment was how Kevin Owens mocked Logan Paul and all of the things he said about him. Fantastic. He made it seem like he was talking to Corbin, but then he was like, no, and then, you know, Corbin's here too. But all of the negative, derogatory things that he said were directed at Logan Paul. I thought it was hysterical. I thought that was very funny. But at the end of this thing, Logan Paul shoves Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens pushed him back and then gets slammed by Happy Corbin. And now we're going to have Owens versus Corbin again. But he's Happy Corbin. And I thought they were going to push him as a good guy. Apparently not. Apparently he's going to remain heel, so he's sarcastically happy. Corbin. He's going to be happy only about good things for himself, but he's still going to be a selfish prick and be an asshole to other people, and I don't care. I don't care. You could say he's more entertaining. You could say, you know, he's performing good in this character. You can give me whatever criticism you want. I don't care. I don't care. It's too much. Too much damage, too far along. There's no way I'm ever going to invest in Corbin. Ever. I don't care. They could give him the best fucking music in the world with a new gimmick and a hot manager and make him the world champion. I'm going to hate every fucking minute of it. It doesn't matter. They could even give him the best storylines in the world. I'm done with this character. The same way I feel about a guy like a Jinder Mahal and people like Nia Jax. Like, these characters can go away, and I would never miss them, not for a microsecond, while watching professional wrestling. They're a stain on this show. Just like Carmella. And even to a point, Liv Morgan. Because WWE Creative have these two girls, and they've already been kind of feuding, but the only thing they have on tap for tonight's show is to just show Carmella. We're just going to show her and introduce her to everybody as the most beautiful woman in the WWE while she just posed for the camera, being all Carmella. Because personally, I don't think she's that pretty. I think she's got a weird face. That's my personal opinion. She's not my cup of tea. Corey Graves likes it. Good for Corey Graves. I'm glad he could find happiness in his personal life. You don't have to force it on the rest of us. You might be the most beautiful person to yourself. You might be the most beautiful woman to your man. But you definitely are not the most beautiful woman in the WWE. Damn, you're not even the most beautiful woman on the SmackDown roster. Ridiculous. And Liv Morgan is just standing behind her. And Carmella's standing there doing her post thing like she don't know Liv is over there. And Liv's standing there like, seriously? And nobody pretended like to know that they were with each other. Like, Liv did nothing. Liv just stood there and watched, and Carmella just stood there and been sexy. The most beautiful woman ever in the wrestling history. Gag me, will you please? Sami Zayn defeated tiny baby man son. I combined the two of them. A giant baby man son, tiny dad's giant baby man son, Dominic Mysterio, in 2 minutes. They kind of looked like they were about to get going, and then next thing you know, it was over, and Sami Zayn won, and Rey Mysterio, of course, had to come out and get involved because Sami was going to try to escape when Dominic had the upper hand, but Rey's involvement ended up somehow causing his son to lose, and while they're not really pushing this very quickly, they are still moving in a direction that it seems that Dominic's going to want nothing to do with his dad at some point. And I like that. I like it. I like that it's got the tension there now. It was just so bubblegum before, right? It was just so happy family, and oh, they're such a happy family, and they brought in little Leah and the mom, and everything was just so wholesome. But now it's getting good. And I don't mind the slow burn here. I want them to take their time, because it will get good. It will get good. And even though I've heard reports that Ray doesn't want to really do this father versus son thing, I mean, at some point it would be the best thing for him to do for his boy. Maybe when he's finally ready to hang it up and just let Dominic do his thing and fly free of his father's wings, because eventually it's going to happen one way or another. Sami Zayn wins, and that's that. And now there's tension between the Mysterios. Sonya Deville is backstage again. Naomi wants a match, but Sonya's not paying any attention. She's hyped about Brock coming next week, and she told Naomi, you know what, ask me next week, which is what she told her last week. And now you're going to see people going, oh, they're burying Naomi, and they're not doing, they're obviously doing something. They're not going to put her on TV and give her TV time and have her interact with Sonya and not have something for it to lead up to. This is the second week in a row we've seen this happen. What you have to hope for is that this continues. She continues to be neglected by the general managers and the WWE officials, and that she goes over their heads and maybe gets a meeting with Paul Heyman and gets brought into the bloodline and gets taken more seriously now, because she is the real life wife of one half of the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, which makes her family as well to the Universal Champion. And why can't she get some of that sweet, sweet rub that fucking Nia Jax is getting? Nia Jax is indestructible. She can destroy half the women's roster. They're still going to push her to the moon, but we can't push Naomi? Why? Because she's not as Samoan as the rest of them? That's asinine. This is the time to make that move as well. Continue to do this with Naomi. I don't mind it. Have her get so frustrated that she goes maybe even right to her husband and just fuck Paul Heyman altogether. She goes right to her oos. And maybe that's the move that starts to cause friction within the bloodline. Who knows? You can go a million ways with that. But then you have a female representative. You can have her challenge for the women's championship. Maybe have her win the women's championship so that she too is walking around with gold on her shoulder and the bloodline continues to reign supreme on SmackDown. Why not? Why not? What else are you going to do with her? You want to make her a star? You want to make her a big deal for the future? That's how you do it. Finally, we close with the Universal Champion Roman Reigns retaining his championship in a great match with Finn Balor. Like I said at the start of the show, I didn't appreciate the fact that they had to start this off with a beatdown of Finn Balor. Finn Balor is half the size of Roman Reigns. This would make sense for him to do against a guy like a Brock Lesnar or a Bobby Lashley or a Bill Goldberg or somebody of equal stature physically, because you would want to level the playing field. But here you have a David and Goliath situation where Goliath sent his minions to beat the shit out of David and cut him off at the knees, making him effectively significantly smaller, which makes the challenge easier for the champion. I get it. You know, I get it. But at the same time, it kind of makes Roman look bad. Because despite the Usos beating the shit out of Finn Balor and the Street Profits coming out to make the save, which you all knew that was coming, Finn Balor took Roman Reigns to the limit. Multiple times with near fall after near fall. He hit the coup de grace at one point, and I thought the match was legitimately over. The 3 count was nearly hit. It was so close. It was pulse racing. You got your blood pumping. Because for a minute, just for a minute, I thought, holy shit, Finn's got it. But that's the magic of pro wrestling. When it's done right, they can get you all in, and you don't even realize you're in until the match is over. And you're like, damn, that was great. And that main event was fucking great. Finn Balor looked fantastic tonight. Definitely looks like he can challenge for the championship. Gave Roman a run for his money. It would be interesting if Brock Lesnar enters the picture and Finn Balor doesn't leave the picture. Imagine now at Extreme Rules if we maybe got a triple threat. Roman versus Balor versus Brock. Brock and Finn have some unfinished business from the past as well. Finn and Roman have been going through this right now. Roman and Brock, what more needs to be said? I think that would be an interesting way to go. But despite that being my favorite part of the night, the best news of all is concerning next week. And I am, yes, prejudiced because Madison Square Garden, and I'm going to be sitting in that arena, and I cannot wait. I cannot wait. This is a special moment for any wrestling fan in New York that's going to attend anything this month. Whether it's this, whether it's AEW Dynamite, which I'm going to as well. It's the return of wrestling after the pandemic. Things could be taken away from you so quickly, and you don't realize it until it happens. And it fucking happened. And for 2 years, we couldn't go to a wrestling show if we wanted to. And now we're back. And they're coming back to the Garden, which is the unofficial home of the WWE. And I had a great welcome home sign made up. So make sure when you're watching SmackDown, you look for the big blue welcome home sign with the Sledgehammer in it, because it's going to be where I'm at. I got great seats. I'm not as close as I wanted to be, but I'm good. I'm maybe the closest I've been for a television show in decades. And it's going to be fantastic. And if any of you guys are watching SmackDown next week, or I should ask you to watch SmackDown next week, just to watch and keep your eye out for me. And screenshot me and shoot it at me anywhere on social media. I'm going to be all over sharing my experience going to Madison Square Garden. Any cool little exclusive things that happen when the cameras are down, I'm going to try to post up as much as I can. So make sure you're following me on Twitter, follow the Facebook page, follow me on Instagram. All that will be linked in the annotations and stuff and in the description below more accurately. And don't forget while you're down there to remember to check out our new sponsor, BarkBox. BarkBox.com/SledgehammerTV for your exclusive offer. Go check it out right now and get some really cool shit for your furry wrestling pal dog. And don't forget to be here tomorrow night for Saturday Night Sledgehammer, where we're going to have some fun. We're just going to have a hangout. It's going to be a little bit of a reward for you guys since I didn't go live tonight. Maybe we're going to do live on a consistent basis on Saturday, and we'll do the live things for the reviews every once in a while. But, being that I still am somewhat grieving over the Daffney thing, I didn't have a live stream in me just yet. But I wanted to give you guys the review, so here we are doing it old school. We recorded it, and we're bringing it to you, and tomorrow we'll be live hanging out together. Hope to see you there. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this channel if you had a good time with me here tonight. And I know you will have a good time with us tomorrow. And the best way to not miss that is to be sure you are subscribed with your notifications on so you don't miss anything coming at you from Sledgehammer TV. We are only 50 subscribers away from the coveted 3,000 subscriber mark. Let's do it. Bring your hammers down on that subscribe button if you aren't already a member of Sledge Nation. And if you are, why don't you go get some friends for us? Come on, it's your turn. Go out and recruit for Sledge Nation. We need sledge heads so we can continue to take over the world. My name is Nick Nightmare. This is the team Thor the Sledgehammer, the official Sledgehammer of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. His tag team partner, the World Heavyweight Champion of all the microphones in all the world, Mr. Blue, the Yeti microphone, the most important member of the team, as always, each and every one of you. That, my friends, is going to do it. We are out of here, and we will see you next time, right here on your new favorite wrestling show, the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, only on Sledgehammer TV, right here on YouTube.com. Boom.